All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Woodwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to the Spoken.
Chief Kingdom, what's up? Happy to be home. Just touched down. Let's get it.
It's still DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh!
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Woodwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios by my lonesome. That is correct. That is correct, guys. It is just you and I today. Trevor is on vacation, and he could not have picked a worse time because we have some celebrating to do. I know, middle of the season, a lot of things to still get done, a lot of things to still get accomplished this season by the Chiefs. But today is a day that we do celebrate here at the Spoken Podcast because this is one of those days where I told you so. Yes, it was a year late. That's not my fault. I can only trust in Veach, and I did, and I continued to. But he made me wait a whole damn year for the inevitable, and that is the man you saw landing in Kansas City just a few days ago. Wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, known as DeHop, known as Nuke, decided to make his way to Kansas City in a trade. And today we celebrate. So if you just give me a second here, because I really need a bask in this. Just give me a damn second. It's delicious every time. See, I'm celebrating today, guys, not just because of the fact that, as Nick Wright says, it was a classic one where inevitably I end up being right. But I'm celebrating today because the one thing, and we need to get these glasses off because this is a serious show, damn it. Plus, I can't see. This is also the fact that we are officially back. And what do I mean by that? Chiefs are 6-0, Lance. They're the best team in the AFC, best team in the NFL. What do you mean they're back? I mean they're back because now they have a legitimate wide receiver one. Rashee Rice was turning into that. Rashee Rice probably is that. But Rashee Rice isn't here and hasn't been here since the first month of the season. And the Chiefs have been in desperate need to make a move. And we've been talking about it on this show. We've been talking about it on Arrowhead Allies. The entire Starcade Media family's been talking about it. The entire Chiefs content community's been talking about it. We all knew the Chiefs needed to make a move like this. And that is exactly what they did. We're so happy for you guys to be here today. I'm so happy for you guys to be here today. If you've not heard it before, if you've not been on this show before, you've not joined us before, we're a community-driven show. We want to talk with you guys, not talk at you guys. This is called The Spoken for a reason. You guys get a platform as well. So if you've not done it already, I'd say at the top of the show, I'd say at the bottom of the show, go to youtube.com, go to Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, notify, share, all that stuff. That very much helps us, guys. We very much appreciate every single time you guys do that. The biggest thing, though, that we need you guys to do is to get in those comments. And in particular, I need you guys to get in the comments on YouTube because, listen, although I'm manufacturing everything here on my own, it is a lot easier just to look at the YouTube comment side of things. And that is where I'm going to continue to look at today. So if you guys would be so kind, go to YouTube and be on there with me today because that's where I'm going to be at today. That's where I'm going to be focusing most of my attention. So obviously I'm going to give some shout outs. We have our guy Douglas Slyman. Ruben and Cruz is already in. Our guy Max Wasson. They're already celebrating with us. These are our regulars. A lot of our regulars here. I think Douglas might be a newer guy, but nevertheless, I'm glad he's here. But jump in our comments on YouTube side of things. I will react to your guys' comments. And you guys know the biggest reason why we want you guys to get into the comments is because we have a segment in the middle of every single show called Speak It. If you're not familiar with that, That is an entire segment where we dedicate going to your questions, your comments, mostly your questions though, because the comments will be throughout the show. But the questions that you guys have for me, that you guys want to get on the show, that we can talk about back and forth. We've had some really good back and forth in the past as well, some debates even through the live stream. It's a lot of fun, guys, and I want that more than anything, in particular today, because literally I'm in my lonesome. When Trevor and I can just go back and forth, it's easy, and it's a trifecta of a community here, because it is just you and I today, just the two of us. I got to work on that, but hold on real quick. I need to celebrate again. Yeah. Yep. Smoking that AFC Championship back, baby. I'm feeling good today. I know you guys got to be feeling good today. Look, I've had so many DMs. I've had so many messages, interactions with people over this week, because you guys knew that this is the guy I wanted all of last offseason. I beat you guys over the head with these takes, and you're going to see why. And we're going to talk all about why I'm so excited about it. I need to show you guys this one. This is how I feel. I'm feeling kind of nicey. Woo! Who? John Gruden says, fuck it, I'm doing it again. Woo! Who? I feel so great today, man. I feel amazing. I want to talk so much about this stuff, guys. We have so much to get to, and I know you guys are stoked about it. So, like I said, let's get right in this thing. Without further ado, guys, it is time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream!
So you guys know that this is a big move, obviously, for the Chiefs offense to advance and get at wide receiver 1. But this is also going to be something we talked about. The biggest reason why I wanted the Chiefs to get another weapon, a proven weapon, a needle mover, a difference maker, is to take some of the pressure off the defense. We know that this is a team that is now led by the defense for the majority of the time, while this offense continues to get themselves back up under their feet. Travis Kelce, a guy they're clearly trying to just work through the season and get into the postseason, but you still need to have guys on the offensive side of things that can extend drives. They're not relying on Harrison Butker kicking field goals. They got to get better in the red zone. We know they had a really good week just last week in the red zone. I think they converted on 80% of their red zone drives and touchdowns. That's what you want to see for this team, but they have been struggling all season in the red zone, and that just puts a lot more pressure on the defense. Now, this defense can handle that type of pressure. We've seen them do it last season with a much worse, well, I'd say an equivalent wide receiver room. They just had a different type of problem. They just had a lot of drops. But this year, you've seen it, the fact they just have not had bodies. They have good receivers, decent guys, reliable assets like Juju, who's now hurt, but they're not scoring like they need to through the air. We're seeing Patrick Mahomes' numbers just dwindling this year. It's by far his worst season. And you can say, well, yeah, they're 6-0. And that's true. I'll ride with you on that, guys. But the point in all of this is, we need to see an offense that can be sustainable in games where the defense isn't going to be great. Now, maybe there isn't going to be that game. Maybe the Chiefs defense will go this whole season and will just continue to dominate, and that would be, I think that is possible. I think the defense can continue this trend for the next 11 to 14 games. That could be possible. But there's also going to be those games like the Bills game, like the Texans game that are coming up, where you might need your offense to kind of take the charge here, take the lead and say, you know what, we got you guys this week. We'll take care of things this week, man. We'll score 35. Now the Chiefs can do that. And I know, look, people are saying, well, Lance, DeAndre Hopkins isn't the same guy that he once was. He wasn't, he's not the guy that played, the way he did back in the days with Deshaun Watson in the Texans days. He's not that same guy. This is my response to this.
It's still DeAndre Hopkins.
It's still DeAndre Hopkins. It's still a guy that defenses are going to have to respect. Defenses are going to have to fear at some degree. And this is a dude now that people can't look at Travis Kelce and say, look, even though he's having a down year statistically, the defenses are going to just continue to double team him because they know that at any given time he can have a big game. Well, now defenses can't just say, all right, guys, let's just hone in on Travis Kelce. We know Juju's out for a couple more weeks. They don't really have anybody else. You got Justin Watson, McCole Hardman, and a bag of pretzels. They don't have, Xavier Worthy's learning the game still. I'm not going to put that pressure on him. He's still a developing, undersized receiver. So I'm going to give him this season, not as a red shirt, but more of a development season. It should not be put on him to be the guy day one. Now, he is a first-round pick, so I am expecting him to pick his shit up next season and the seasons after that. But this season, it should not be put on him. It should not be put on him. So now you have a guy, the defense are going to have to say, shit, we can no longer double team Travis Kelce. We can no longer stack the boxes and try to shut down Kareem Hunt and this awesome running game, which I think the Chiefs are fifth in rush offense this season. Incredible what they've been able to do. That's big credit to what the offensive line's been doing for them. But now they have to be able to start focusing on the outside and the slot. This is something DeAndre Hopkins, we listened to some Nashville reporters this week, and they talked about how as he's aged, as DeHop has aged, he's become a very, very effective, very deadly slot receiver. And for a guy that's 6'1", 6'2", you put him in the slot, that's such a disadvantage such a disadvantage for the defense because you're usually lining up against linebackers and safeties, and that's just such a mismatch when you have a guy like DeHop who not only still has enough speed, but has incredible route running ability and has the best hands in football. I mean, this is a guy that had hundreds of targets without a drop at one point in his career. I mean, I think he went, was it 250 or 300 targets before dropping a ball at one point in his career. This dude has massive hands, reliable hands, everything that the Chiefs need. This is why this is the guy I wanted last offseason, because he is the guy that fits this offense perfectly. We love Rashee Rice, right? We all love what he's become in this offense. Trust me, I was saying probably be like a high-end wide receiver too. I think Rashee's got wide receiver 1 potential now. I've changed my mind on that. There's nobody better to learn and mold his game after than DeAndre Hopkins because they are almost physically the exact same guy, and stylistically they can be the very same guy because that's the kind of guy Rashee Rice can be. A slot guy, a guy that does a lot of shallow crossers, learning his route tree, reliable hands. I know he had some dropsies earlier in his career, but he's really fixed that. He's become a reliable asset and just a flat-out deadly killer in the pass game, a guy that Patrick Mahomes, quite frankly, just trusts. So this is, now you're getting a veteran player, a guy that's 10, 11 years ahead of Rashee, that Rashee can learn from this year. And I believe DeHop is going to be a guy that the Chiefs are going to have next season as well. We can talk about that in a little bit, but I just think the trade and the value of what DeHop is and how good he still can be in his career, I think he's a guy that Chiefs might want to keep around just for assurances, because we know that Rashee will make a full recovery health-wise, but is going to inevitably be suspended in 2025. So when that suspension comes down, you need assurances, and I'm sure the Chiefs will draft another guy. Hopefully Xavier Worthy will develop, but I think that if you keep DeHop for another year, that alleviates a lot of pressure on Brett Veach to go out there and swing heavy at wide receiver when you have a veteran guy who'll be 32, 33 years old that's still got stuff left in the tank and is motivated to continue to play for a winning organization. And look, if you look at the historic side, I wanted to show you guys the stat. This is from our guys at First Things First. If you look at the stat right here, man, the regular season careers of Travis Kelce and DeHop are almost identical. It's insane. Now, obviously, Travis Kelce is a much better player in the playoffs, but that's also situational. That's because of the fact that Travis Kelce's had the ability to play with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid for all these years. But DeHop has been an insanely effective, and I will say I do believe it should be a Hall of Famer one day, because I don't think he's done yet. I think he's got another 2 or 3 more years left in him, and I do believe if and when the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, he will play an effective part in them doing so. And I believe that he will show why he's a guy that, may not have put up the numbers in Tennessee, but is a guy that can do it for a team that is actually playing for something. He talked about this in his initial press conference when he said that, I'm playing for, I haven't played meaningful football in a long time. Now, let's be totally honest here. That is D-Hop's fault. He chose to go to Tennessee, went and got the money, not mad at him, but he had to have seen the writing on the wall. That Tennessee team wasn't contending for shit. Like, we knew that team was in flux, and I think he realizes that if he could go back in time, he probably would have made another decision. He would have probably figured out something with the Chiefs, because we knew that the Chiefs were very much interested in D-Hop last season. It's apparent now because they obviously went and got him now. So I want to talk about my stat predictions. Hold on, I'm gonna get this little swig real quick. Believe it or not, I'm actually doing more talking than I normally do. It's kind of a weird situation we got here. But I put up my stat predictions this week as far as what I'm expecting from D-Hop. So the Chiefs have 11 games left in the regular season. I don't believe that D-Hop's going to play all of them. Not because of an injury, but because of the fact of what my initial prediction was at the beginning of the season, which I'm standing by. I believe the Chiefs start the season 9-0. Spoiler alert about this Chiefs-Raiders game coming up that we'll talk about later today. I believe the Chiefs start 9-0, and then we'll see about that Bills game, but I did originally have the Chiefs losing in Buffalo this year as their first loss. And then they continue to win until they get to the final week of the season against the Broncos. That is where I have the Chiefs resting their starters because they've locked up the 1 seed, whereas DeHop does not play that 11th game of the regular season for him, which is why my stats aren't pedestrian. I actually think they're pretty high end, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on these. So this is my stat predictions for DeHop this season for the Chiefs. Meaning like 0 receptions, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns. He's starting all over. And this is what he's going to have with the Chiefs. I'm expecting 57 receptions for 673 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, the yards and receptions probably aren't as wild to you guys. I can imagine that's probably not something that blows your mind because you know that he's going to be a volume guy. He's always been a volume guy, and knowing that he's a need for the Chiefs and knowing that he's going to play this week, that probably doesn't shock you. I think what will probably shock a lot of people is the 7 touchdowns. The biggest reason why I have the 7 touchdowns is because of the fact that I believe that DeHop is going to be utilized a lot in the red zone this year. We saw even with the Titans this season, although I think he only had 1 touchdown with the Titans, you saw, though, that he was getting targets in the red zone with a far inferior quarterback and far inferior offense. I think the Chiefs are going to replicate some of that because, again, they know that he's been so effective in the slot. He's a bigger receiver. He's a guy that can go up and get 50-50 balls. Knowing that the Chiefs are still going to kind of work Travis Kelce into the season, and knowing that Juju's injured right now, knowing that Rashi's out for the season, they know that he's the one guy that they can probably rely on in those pass option plays, those RPO plays they like to run in the red zone. Now, I do believe the Chiefs are going to continue to run a balanced attack. I do believe that Kareem Hunt's going to get plenty of love. Isaiah Pacheco will be back in 2-3 weeks. I believe they're going to continue to utilize their running backs a lot. This offense has found a lot of success in the run game. With the defense that you have, you want to continue to establish a run game to give your defense a breather, keep your offense on the field, extend drives. I'm expecting that to still be the way the Chiefs run this even with the success I'm expecting from DeHop and the pass game. But I do believe they're going to mix it up a lot in the red zone. They're going to keep defenses on their heels because right now they know they're going to run the ball in the red zone. Before this DeHop acquisition, they knew, okay, they're going to run the ball. They're going to try to hammer it home. And that makes sense. It does work, and it has worked for the most part when the Chiefs decide to actually run and utilize the classics, as I like to call them. But I do believe they're going to try to get Pat's numbers up. I'm just being real. I think Patrick wants to throw touchdowns. And I think that you're going to see some opportunities for DeHop where, in one game he has a couple touchdowns. 7 touchdowns might seem lofty to you guys in 10 games. But I just think with a motivated DeHop, knowing that Patrick Mahomes is going to want to give DeHop an opportunity to contribute, knowing that, I truly believe they're going to have a connection early. 2 players this talented. You saw from day one, Randy Moss and Tom Brady. It was a match made in heaven. I'm not saying that DeHop is Randy Moss. Randy Moss is his own entity. But I do compare it when it comes to the relationship that I think these 2 guys could have. I think that DeHop can be a very deadly weapon in this offense. We saw the numbers he put up in just the short time he had healthy Deshaun Watson back before Deshaun Watson was outed as an absolute creep. How effective and how deadly and how elite DeHop was in that offense. I don't believe he's that same guy. That was 5-6 years ago. But I do think that guy is still in there in portions and at times. And I do think the Chiefs are going to get that guy out of him because now he's playing with the best quarterback he's ever had, the best offense he's ever had, with the best team he's ever had, with a real opportunity to finally win a Super Bowl. I think all the incentives are there for DeHop to go out there. Now, I know people are worried about his MCL. And initially I was too. I even put it out there. I was like, hopefully he's a guy that can make it happen. He can do his, still play at a high level, but, that is a concern. Well, after listening to some of these Nashville reporters, they said this was an injury he suffered in training camp. They say this is a 4 to 6 week injury where it's at its absolute magnitude, its apex. Well, it's been well over 6 weeks now since training camp. So I'm not saying they've been faking this injury because there's another injury that we're going to get to that is 100% fake. But I do believe that it's been a little let on. I think it's been a little embellished where the Titans, who clearly were trying to get out of the DeHop business, not because they didn't love him, because from every report we're hearing, he was never a problem on this team, both on and off the field. Clearly, the dude's class personified, awesome player. I think the Titans knew very early in the season, we're not contending. And you keep players like DeHop for contention. That's why they went and got him. They were hoping they could contend, and they haven't been able to do that. So I think there's been a little bit of an embellishment of how bad or how severe this knee injury has been because all signs, all indications point to he's going to be just fine. How do I know that? Well, the Chiefs not only traded for him when there were other options still on the table, younger options, I might add, but the fact that they're talking about playing him immediately when he's been with the team for less than a week, that tells me this dude's healthy. If he wasn't healthy, the Chiefs would be very cautious with this. Andy, because I always tell you guys, Andy is very intentional with the media. And if you listen to Andy Reid this week, when they were asking him questions about, is DeHop going to play this week? He goes, why not? Why wait? That isn't the way Andy usually handles the media. He usually is very, we'll see how it goes. He's very just, coy about stuff. He was very blatant and honest about it. But why wait? Why wait? And that's the point. Why wait? That's the question I would ask. If the man is healthy, if he's ready to play football, if he's ready to contribute, why wait? Especially when you look at the stretch of games the Chiefs have coming down the pike. The toughest portion of their schedule is already done. Now they have a banged-up, terrible-ass Raiders team that is coming to town. I say coming to town because that is really Arrowhead West. Then you have the Buccaneers, who I have nothing but respect for Baker Mayfield and admiration. I love watching him play. He's down both his best receivers. And that defense is one of the worst defenses in football. I mean, they get gashed on a weekly basis. So the Chiefs have 2 weeks right here to get DeHop acclimated before they actually have to play a good team in the Buffalo Bills. And I question the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are, 5-2 right now? And they haven't beat a good team so far. The only two teams they faced that are even worth mentioning, Ravens and Texans, they got their cheeks clapped. The Ravens absolutely smashed them, destroyed them, and I felt like they were taking it easy on them in the second half. And then you look at the Texans game, the Texans were working that ass until Nico Collins got hurt like the second quarter. I think they were up like 17-0. So this Bills team can be had too. Now, it isn't Buffalo. This is the team that I have the first loss for, and I'm probably going to stick with it. But if Buffalo doesn't play well up in Seattle this week, when I know that's a decent team, they're 4-3. If Seattle doesn't have DK, though, that might be kind of a flip-flop for me. But the point is, these next 3 weeks could be absolute games for DeHop to go off in. These are defenses that he can absolutely destroy them. And now the Chiefs could also play a very balanced offense, because we know the Raiders can be had in the rush game. I think they're one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL as well. The Bucs, I don't know how great their rush defense is, but I just know how bad their defense has been in totality. So I'd like to believe the Chiefs can do really whatever they want. So this is the exciting part about all this, guys, is that the Chiefs finally have a piece that they know they can rely on. They know that they can bring into the equation that can be a day one contributor, a needle mover, a difference maker. This is all I've been asking for. And I love the fact that it's the guy I've been asking for in particular for the last 16, 17 months. I love it, man. I'm so excited about this. I know that you guys, I've been having people congratulating me. Look, thank you. I very much appreciate it, but congratulate yourself, because this is going to be good for all of us, man. I'm telling you all right now, I'm very confident. I'm very, very confident this is going to be a big move for the Chiefs. I don't want to overplay it. I don't want to, hype it up so much to where it almost feels like a down, lets you down no matter how good it is. But this is a move you should be excited about. This is a move I'm 100% excited about, because this is the best receiver that Patrick Mahomes has had since Tyreek Hill, and it's not close. Now, that's respect to Rashee Rice. I believe that Rashee is developing his game, and it can be an absolute top 10 receiver in this game. That's how much respect I have for Rashee at this point. But Rashee's not here, and Rashee's really young, and we don't know what he actually is at his apex. We know what DeHop is. One of the best route runners in the league, guy that can play outside slot and has the best hands in football. That is everything that Patrick Mahomes has been missing for years now. Now, he's won back-to-back Super Bowls, but it was very difficult. So why not make it easier on the man? Because we're seeing how difficult it is right now for him to get passing lanes and throw the ball to guys that he can trust and know that they're going to be making plays. That's where DeHop comes in. He's going to be that guy now. And I'm reading some of these comments, man, and our guy Max Wasson says, hopefully we'll be able to get back to our style of offense where we can air it out and score 30+. Max, yeah, I mean, you look at the Chiefs' offense right now, they're scoring, 26 points a game right now, I think it is right now for the season, and they haven't had that guy. And now you're coming down the stretch of the schedule where you can start really putting it on people. Now, that's not really Andy's style. He doesn't really like to pour it on people and blow teams out. But, I mean, guys, at the same time, the last 3 games, the Chiefs have won by an average of 10 points per game. So they are kind of unintentionally pouring it on people, beating people down. Beating the Niners 28-18. Beating the Saints, was it 26-13. Beating the Chargers 17-10. Now, that's not a high-scoring game, but you beat them by a full touchdown. You cover the spread on the road against a team that had a winning record coming into the game. You lose Rashee in the middle of that game. So yeah, I think this could definitely happen. I definitely can see the offense taking that next step. That's the whole point in all of this. Ruben Cruz, I don't understand the hate from our fans about DeHop. Shake my head. I haven't really heard a lot of hate, honestly. Ruben, you have to point that out to me. I've seen a lot of positives, honestly, man. That's good. Our guy Tony Russell. I'm hyped too, Lance. Glad he's playing tomorrow. Damn right, bro. 100%. Brad Simcox. Hopkins will be the ultimate decoy in this first game as a Chief. And that's possible. I'll play with that. I'll live with that because, like I said, not to get ahead of myself because we're going to talk about this Raiders game in a second. But this could be one of those games. It could be basically just a replica of last week where the Chiefs just run the shit out of the ball. I think the Chiefs had, 36, 37 rush attempts against the 49ers. That could very well be the case again. Because as we know, the Chiefs are very successful on the ground this year. Kareem Hunt has just been a godsend to this offense, man. He's absolutely saved this offense to this point. And the DeHop acquisition is going to alleviate some of that as well. But when Pacheco goes back, you're going to see a two-headed monster on this team. And I have been fantasizing about that, man. The idea of Isaiah Pacheco's aggressive style of running play, high energy with Kareem Hunt's ability to do everything as a third down back. Very exciting, guys. I can't stand up right now, full disclosure. But yeah, I think there's a chance that this could be another game where the Chiefs just rush, 28 to 30 times, get 130, 140 yards, a couple touchdowns on the ground, and just kind of call it a day. Maybe that is the case. Or maybe DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce go off. I'm just saying, the fact that we can sit here now and finally talk about this as a reality is something that should get all of us excited, guys. I went 6 to midnight as soon as this happened because I knew what it did to this offense, and it's only good things, man. Yeah, I mean, all these, I'm loving the comments, guys. And like I said, I'm reading comments today on YouTube because it's a lot easier for me. And quite frankly, guys, we need the YouTube presence. So if you'd be so kind, if you're watching the show right now, thank you so much. I really do appreciate all you guys. I'm seeing hundreds of people are watching right now. I cannot thank you guys enough. But if you want to comment with the show, which I really do want you guys to, especially today, because just me here in the studio, get on YouTube real quick. Just transfer over to YouTube and start chiming in. I really would love to hear from you guys, man, because it means a lot to me when I know that you guys actually give a shit about what we're talking about here. Brad Simcox, again, my boy Brett Chief. I'm serious when I say Kareem Hunt should be MVP at this point. He's single-handedly running this offense. I had this discussion with a couple buddies this week. I asked, because I don't talk MVP until everyone's had their bye week. It's kind of just a rule I have because it doesn't really matter until then. So usually around like week 13, week 14 is when I start talking MVPs. And quite frankly, that's the only time it's really relevant. But for individual teams, I'll have that conversation at this time. And Brit Chief, Brad, I definitely can see your point because I have cold sweats and hot sweats at the same time thinking about where this offense would be right now if they didn't acquire Kareem Hunt. If let's say he signed with some other team, in the offseason and training camp or something, I mean, I would have the faith and belief that Andy would figure it out. But Kareem Hunt is such a seamless fit because he's been in this offense before. And he's just such a great player. I don't know if in fact, I feel very strongly that they wouldn't have found some other guy on the streets that could do anything close to what Kareem Hunt's doing right now. And that would just put much more pressure on Patrick Mahomes in this inept wide receiver room up to that point. So I can see that. I can understand your point, Brad. If I had to pick an MVP for this team right now, it's Chris Jones. That might sound like an easy one, but guys, for the second straight year, this Chiefs defense has not only been the best in football, but it's carrying this team a lot of times. I mean, let's be real. Like I'm giving praise for the Chiefs being able to manufacture points here and there, but this defense is shutting fools down. Not even just in scoring. The best of the best running backs in the NFL right now, King Henry, our guy, Derrick John Henry, as I like to call him, because the dude is not human. He's a myth who's going to probably break Eric Dickerson's record this year. Going to be the first running back ever to have two different 2,000-yard seasons. Was held to 46 rushing yards by this defense in week 1. And I know the national media wants to ignore that and act like that didn't happen. It happened. We saw it. The Chiefs shut his shit down. Now, Lamar ran for like 122, but that was out of necessity. That's because he couldn't get anything out of Derrick Henry. The way this defense is doing things, man, it's It's better. I think this defense is better than it was even last season. This is why I told you guys, don't worry about losing 𝚂𝙫𝙺 Sneed. The Chiefs are going to find a way to make up for that absence, and they have. Has there been one time this season where you're like, damn, this team's missing 𝚂𝙫𝙺 Sneed, man? Shit. Not one time. I think there's a better chance they say that about missing Jalen Watson this season than they do about 𝚂𝙫𝙺 Sneed, because it's a revolving door. What Dave Merritt does with that DB room, what Spags does with this defense is unprecedented, but none of it's possible without the big man in the middle. Chris Jones creating all those pressures. And let's be real. He's been the only real pressure getter of the defensive line. Now, Karlaftis had a really good game against the Niners. But up to that point, Karlaftis had 1 sack, wasn't really getting to the quarterback. Mike Dana's been hurt. I mean, Turk Wharton's been good, but he's a role player. You're not expecting Turk Wharton or Derek Nottie to lead the way and get 8 pressures in a game. That's all on Chris Jones. FAU is still developing his game. Charles Omenihu's still hurt. Who's it on? Who you going to call? Chris Jones, motherfucker. And he's been the one, man. So I see your point, Brad, and you know what? You may not be wrong. If I had to make a bet right now, or if I had to place my vote, I would say Chris Jones. But that's just me, man. Rhino, if the Chiefs are 9-0, going to Buffalo and beat them, do they lose another game? I'll hold that one off for speaking. I will answer that one, man. Let's see here. All right, MQ10. This can also help Kelce as well. If DeHop is who he always is, who do you double? Kelce, DeHop, Worthy, pick your poison. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, even if my stat predictions are totally wrong, let's say DeHop has half of that. The fact he's even on the field is what brings value to this team. Even if he is the one producing, which I am expecting him to be the one that's producing. I'm expecting him to have better numbers than Travis Kelce throughout the season because, like I said, they are really trying to get Travis Kelce just healthy into the postseason. And then he's going to start doing his thing because that is what we know Kelce's worried about at this point of his career. He's not worried about regular season numbers. He's worried about, because he's already had his 7 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards. That's already an NFL record for a tight end. That may never be broken. I don't think it's ever going to be. He's worried about rings. He's worried about becoming the single greatest receiving option in postseason history, which I already think he is, but he's got a little bit more to go before he beats Jerry Rice in I think 1 stat. The point is that I do believe that DeHop's going to produce, but even if he didn't, like you said, this is going to open up so much more for Xavier Worthy, who's developing his game. This is going to open up so much more for Juju when he gets back. This is going to open up so much more for any of these other guys you want to mention, and the running game in particular. Like I said, it's going to lighten that box, man. One guy, when you go and get one guy who's a real difference maker, when I say difference maker, I don't just mean just in production. I mean in what these game plans are going to have to be now. When the Raiders are, talking about the Chiefs and they're game planning before the week, you add a DeHop to the equation, you don't think they're sitting there going, motherfucker. Now we have to sit here and talk about a guy who's probably going to make the Hall of Fame, who's still good enough and as motivated as ever to play at his best. I mean, that brings a whole other mix of problems for any defense, not just the Raiders coming up, but any defense that's coming down the pike. Brad replied to me, Brad Simcox. Chris Jones is a great shout. He might not have the sacks, but he's taking offensive lines with him, leaving the door open for our pass rush. Great shout, Lance. Love you, bro. Love you too, brother. Hey, I've missed you, man. We haven't talked enough. I know that we live on the other side of the pond. If you guys aren't following Britt Chief on Twitter, you guys need to go ahead and do that. He's got a great show as well, man. Follow his show. They do incredible work over there. It sucked that their freaking Twitter handle got hacked, I believe, but they started a new one. Guys, hit up Britt Chief on Twitter. Brad Simcox, great dude, makes great points. Nothing but love for you, brother. Miss you to death, man. When you get back in Kansas City, let me know. We couldn't hang out last time, but we definitely got to get back together, bro. And when we do, I will be buying the barbecue. You will be buying the beers. Let's see here. Yeah, Ruben Cruz, CJ's a freak of nature. Lance, just Pat now, having to people that he trusts is huge. Oh, having people to trust is huge. Let's not forget Juju, etc. Exactly. Like I said, all of a sudden, when you're bringing down all these other guys that are so high up on the demand list of where Patrick is throwing the ball, you take them down a peg, it makes your offense that much better. Because now Juju can be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, as opposed to wide receiver 1, which he's just clearly not at this point of his career. Quite frankly, he probably never was. He was always, at his apex, he was a wide receiver 2. Very effective one. But now, before DeHop, you were expecting Juju to run the passing side of things. That's just not possible. He just doesn't have the physical traits to do that right now, guys. You're seeing it. He's already got a hamstring problem. I'm sure that, ignited the Chiefs to go and get DeHop, but I think they were going to probably do that anyway because they knew that this was not sustainable. And I was telling you guys this for weeks, even after the Saints game. And Mitch Holthus, all respect to Mitch, but he's a company man. And he was just, sitting out there saying after the Saints game when I was driving home and I heard him on the radio, this is going to be a wide receiver room by committee. No, it's not, Mitch. It's clearly not. Because you're already, 2 weeks later, the Chiefs going to get D-Hop. They needed help. You're not going to bring up Justin Ross and Nico Remigio and things are fixed. And I like both those guys. Let's be real. They're role players. I like them. I want them to be up and contribute, but they're not guys you lean on. It isn't a committee. You got to make it easier for Patrick Mahomes. And this is what I told you guys. The worst thing that ever happened, the best and worst thing that ever happened, was Patrick Mahomes winning back-to-back Super Bowls after they traded Tyreek Hill. Obviously, it's great, and it destroys any narratives that he had to have Tyreek Hill. I get that, which is great. But it also, I think, built this mindset in Chiefs fans, and I think in some degree, even in the Chiefs front office, that they don't really need to go out there and get him a stud or get him studs at wide receiver. Just get him some guys that can survive. Now, I've also been on the record and say you don't need to get a Tyreek Hill. You don't need to have a Tyreek Hill. You just need a Juju type of receiver. That's true because it has worked. But if you are building a roster and you have an opportunity to give your quarterback who's worth $500 million, who's on his way to becoming the GOAT, if you have an opportunity to give him better weapons, why the hell wouldn't you do it? And that is what I've been challenging and petitioning the Chiefs on, is go and get Patrick some help. The guys are out there. You have several names that are on bad teams. Go get one of them. You need them. Don't put Patrick in this position like you did last season. And I'm glad to see my boy Brett Veach decided to step up, man. So people are asking me, well, what does this mean for Justin Ross? Justin Ross is such a huge fan favorite, even though he's really done nothing to this point in his career. I see the potential, 6'4" guy. I understand why people like him. He had a good career in Clemson. I've had my ups and downs with Justin Ross. At first, I never bought in, and then I bought in last year. Had his off-field issues. Now it does sound like there's an opportunity for Justin Ross, but people are worried about his jersey number because, as we know, DeHop took number 8. Justin Ross is supposedly going to, I think, 82. That stuff doesn't really matter to me, but it matters to some people. But this is according to my guy Jay Binkley on 610 or 96.5 The Fan now. According to Three Guys in the Garage, that's his handle. The Chiefs are expected to elevate wide receiver Justin Ross to the 53-man roster this week. It hasn't happened to this point, which is kind of weird. It is Saturday. I would imagine, though, if they're going to do it, it would probably be within the next few hours of this show. So I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I would like to see that happen. If it's not going to be Justin Ross, obviously you guys know I'm a big Nico Remigio fan. So one of those two guys needs to be brought up because, let's be real, Justin Watson's not done a damn thing this year. I love McColl, but McColl's not a guy that's running routes. He's doing more of the gimmicky stuff, which has been effective. Scored another touchdown. Won me some money this week, by the way. So they have contributors, but with Juju out right now, I mean, it's you still need bodies. Even though you went and got D-Hop, you still need to go and get bodies. But see, the Chiefs also made another great decision this week and made some room for a potential body that they may need. Oh, would you look at that? We are placing wide receiver Skyy Moore on IR with a core muscle injury. What? A core muscle injury? I didn't know that core muscles were in your hands. Skyy Moore has been a full participant in practice every single week of this season. Now he's got a core muscle injury. I got you, Chiefs. Listen, this is a great move and decision by the Chiefs to make. We know this. This had to happen. They don't honestly expect us to believe that shit, right? I mean, this is just like the Kadarius Toney situation last year, where all of a sudden he's hurt after the Patriots game when he dropped like his 95th fucking pass. Oh, he's hurt. Oh, he's got to sit. And he's doing his Instagram stuff, which was AI, supposedly. Remember that? Yeah. Dark times. this will be the last time we see Skyy Moore in a Chiefs uniform. According to Nate Taylor from The Athletic, it would actually cost the Chiefs more to keep Skyy Moore next season than to cut him. That's all you need to know. We have seen the end of Skyy Moore. Skyy Moore is no longer going to be a part of this organization. He's on the IR. I don't see any reason. I mean, the Chiefs could cut all their other wide receivers, and I would still say don't bring Skyy Moore back if he's healthy, which he is still. This is clear and evident. Skyy Moore and his time with the Chiefs is over. And that is 100% the right thing to do. The Chiefs made a very good decision by doing this. But see, it doesn't end there, because then we got some good news about a potential return for a man who's never actually arrived. That's right. According to James Palmer TV, there is a real chance Hollywood Brown returns for the Chiefs by the playoffs. This is good news, because of the fact that we know that this is a guy that Patrick Mahomes built an early connection with. There was some real chemistry, but I was watching it in training camp. You guys probably all saw it too. There was real chemistry between these two guys in training camp, and who was the guy that Patrick Mahomes threw his first ball to in preseason? That's right, Hollywood Brown. This is a guy that I think the Chiefs really like, really believe in. I hate the fact this dude's always, it seems like he's always haggled and hurt by something. There's always something going on. But this is also cool because of the fact that DeHop and Hollywood Brown used to play together in Arizona. They were both banged up at that time, and it wasn't very long. But they are former teammates, which is cool. They know how to work together. There's camaraderie there. There's friendship there. And quite frankly, guys, this is another need. This is a guy that I think could, if healthy, can make a real difference in this offense. Just as much as DeHop, in my opinion. Not that he's better than DeHop, but this is a guy that can take the top of the defense off. And the biggest reason why I love Hollywood Brown in this offense is because it also helps Xavier Worthy develop his game. Just like I said about how DeHop will help develop Rasheed's game because they are very stylistically and physically the same guy. I mean, who better for Xavier Worthy to learn from than a guy like Hollywood Brown, who's just a little bit bigger than him and has had success in this league as being a burner, a downfield guy, a guy that takes the top off the defense. That's the kind of guy that Xavier Worthy needs to learn from. I said it was a blessing in disguise when we heard that Hollywood Brown was going to miss the first couple weeks, because that gave Xavier Worthy some opportunities early in his career to gain some confidence, and you saw that 2 touchdowns in his first game. I think that absolutely helped Xavier, because I think those targets would have went to Hollywood Brown. Now it's time to get Hollywood Brown back, because Xavier Worthy still slow out the gate, still learning this game, developing his game. I think he needs to have a little bit of a breather and an opportunity to see how the veteran gets it done. So this is good news, man. I'm expecting to see Hollywood Brown play for the Chiefs this year. It'll probably be late December, early January. But even like Andy Reid, other guys are saying he might be even ahead of time when it comes to recovery. So let's hope that's the case. The Chiefs made another great decision this week. I don't know if you guys saw this, but according to NFLTradeRumors.co, Chiefs create $5.3 million of cap room by reworking Juwan Taylor's deal. Now, you guys, I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but since this offseason, I created this list, and it's been updated. Woo! Would you look at it? Now, I know it gets cut off at the bottom. I hate it every freaking time. It says at the bottom, I promise, to re-sign Turk Wharton. They did that. Would you look at it, guys? My list is almost complete. Now, obviously, I'm never going to have this list complete because the Chiefs cannot resign Nick Allegretti because he's no longer with the Chiefs. But outside of trading Skyy Moore, which technically they just traded him for a roster spot, so I could technically mark that down, but I'm not going to do that. I'd still say trading Kadarius Toney for any pick. The way they got rid of him, I said I'm counting that bitch. But extending Trey Smith is a common sense move that I do believe is still going to happen. We can talk about that another time. But boys and girls, my list is getting good. My list is complete. I'm now convinced that Brett Veach does listen to what I have to say. I'm not saying he always agrees. I'm not saying he always goes the way I do, but I think eventually he comes around to, you know what, that was a pretty good idea, Lance. That's a pretty good idea, man. He saw me in a football game once. I'm just saying. We talked. Won't say what was said. Or if he called security. But the point is, we have a smart GM in Kansas City. Now, people ask me, well, Lance, what are they going to do with that $5 million they add? I'm glad you guys asked that, because they did not have to do this. And this is the biggest reason I've been trying to explain to you guys for the longest time when it comes to the money the Chiefs have. Now, well, they can't afford that guy, Lance. They can't bring on his salary. Child, listen. Restructures are everything. And the Chiefs are one of the teams out there that do the fewest restructures in the league. They don't do them very often. But when they do, it is intentional. And this is one of those easy, no shit type of restructures the Chiefs can do because of the fact that Jawaan Taylor has a fully guaranteed contract next season, I think like $19.5 million. He was going to 100% be on this roster next season. There's no debating that. So why not just bring the money up? Give him a signing bonus. Move some of that money to a signing bonus and pay him it anyway because he's going to make that money anyway. He's going to be a Chief in 2025. Foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. So the question is, if you already have Jawaan Taylor on this deal next season, why would you create cap space? Sounds like that Brett Veach isn't done cooking. And I love my boy Marcus Dash at Chief Concerns. He made that meme of Brett Veach as a chef. Go look that up on my Twitter account. I should have put it on here today. My bad. But Brett Veach is not done cooking, in my opinion. I don't know what position they're going to go with. I know Jalen Watson went down with an injury. I'm still of the belief guys are going to keep that one in-house. Biggest reason why is because I just think that, like I always tell you guys, quarterback in Kansas City is just taken care of. Brett Veach drafts the shit out of it. He nails it so much. Spags' system makes it easier on young cornerbacks to develop. And Dave Merritt's just a wizard, man. Dude is just an absolute wizard as a DB's coach. I mean, I hope that guy's here forever. Honestly, selfishly, I wish he would stay here forever. I know there's been defenses trying to poach him and make him as a DC. He deserves to be a DC. This dude is too damn good at his job. He's overqualified as a freaking DB's coach at this point. I can't believe he's still here, but I'll gladly keep him, man. My God, he's so good. So I'm not worried about cornerback. And I quite frankly don't believe that Brett Veach is either. I think Brett Veach is very comfortable with where they're at DB as a whole. So I think that you're going to see Nazeeh Johnson and a collection of other guys filling in that role for Jalen Watson, who more than likely is going to miss the remainder of the season. Really sucks because Jalen Watson has been an absolute stud this year. He's been what I call the unsung hero of the defense. He's been so damn good. But you'll see Joshua Williams, Nazeeh Johnson, guys like that stepping in, and I believe they're going to do just fine. They may not be as good as Jalen Watson, but Jalen Watson wasn't as good as L'Jarius Sneed. And again, now, one time this season have we sat here and said we miss L'Jarius Sneed? Because they haven't. This defense is just as good, if not better, this season because they've had a healthy Nick Bolton so far this season. Let's do that real quick. But yeah, this defense has been unbelievable this season, man. And so I don't think it's going to be on the defense side. I think they're going to go after a pass rusher because Charles Omenihu, who's coming into town in a couple of weeks, he'll be back. He'll be effective. He's an awesome player. So I still think it's going to be on the offensive side. And I think it's going to be another wide receiver. If they're making another move, my best guess is it's going to be another wide receiver because they know that's still a need. Even with DeHop upgrading the room significantly, you still have depth pieces to fill. So unless they're bringing up Justin Ross and Nico Remigio, you're still going to have to get other guys because Justin Watson, like I said, has done absolutely nothing this season. Skyy Moore's now gone. Mecole Hardman, gimp guy. He's not going to be a guy that you rely on in the pass game. I think if I was to make a bet, because people are talking about Cooper Kupp. Guys, the Rams just won that game against the Vikings. They're not trading Cooper Kupp. They still have a very good chance. In fact, I'm still betting on it that the Rams make the playoffs, and I think they actually still win that division. I think they're only one game out of first place. I'm behind the Seahawks, and I think they play the Seahawks in like 2 weeks. So the Rams they have too much going for them, and Cooper and Puka Nacua are back, and you saw how much different and how much better their offense was. Matt Stafford just went off. So they just beat arguably the best team in the NFC in prime time. So you're not getting Cooper Kupp. I think you have to bring your expectations down for this acquisition. It's not going to be as big of a splash as DeHop. If I was to make a guess, a guy that I would really like to see the Chiefs go after is Darius Slayton. I know you get nervous with Giants receivers, trust me, but guys, this guy cannot be more different in every way than Kadarius Toney. So, first of all, he's not a nutbag. He's a guy that you could actually have a legitimate conversation with. But yeah, I think a Darius Slayton would be really good. I don't want D-Rob, and again, I don't think the Rams are trading anybody, but that would probably be the guy they do trade if they do trade anybody. I'm not a big fan of guys that moonwalk with the football. That's why I was very happy when he was gone. So he had a good game against the Vikings. D-Rob in this offense just gives me panics. I always like sweat when that dude catches the football because I just know he's gonna get a 15-yard reception for minus 13 yards. I just don't know how he does it. He pulls it off. So like I said, I think they're gonna go get a contributor, a solid receiver, maybe even a guy that we're not even looking at right now. But if I was to make a bet, the Chiefs were to be aggressive and make another move, I think it's going to be another wide receiver. Who do you guys think, man? Because I'm trying to look at the comments here. All right, let's see here. I'd rather, our guy, Bubba BB. I'd rather sign a wide receiver 1 than Trey Smith because Rashee might not be the same after the brutal knee injury. Well, Bubba, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think it's going to come down between the two. The Chiefs are going to have plenty of cap space next year to operate in a way that they need to. You saw the way that they've handled their money this year, extending Creed Humphrey, extending Noah Gray. They've extended several guys this offseason as well. They restructured Patrick Mahomes' deal. Now they've restructured Juwan Taylor's. I don't think it's going to come between the two. We got to either pay a wide receiver 1 or Trey Smith. And as far as the Rashee side of things are concerned, he is expected to make a full recovery. There wasn't any damage to like his ACL, the major ligaments to where he would never be able to walk properly again or have to have some kind of like long time recovery. I think it's a 6 month injury. He's supposed to make a full recovery. I was talking to Dr. Jesse Morse on Arrowhead Allies about this very topic. You guys go find that video on our channel right here. I asked him that specifically, and for everything that Dr. Jesse said, Rashee's gonna be just fine. My biggest hang up on Rashee is how long is he gonna get suspended? Because I think he'll be more than ready week 1 to play. But I have a strong feeling and inclination that Roger Goodell is going to put the hammer on him, and I think it's going to probably be a six game suspension. And to lose him for a third of the season, that's rough, especially when you just lost him for 2/3 of this season. So I know that they're going to have to pay wide receiver, but right now that wide receiver room is so damn cheap. They're paying literally nobody. I think DeHop will be a guy they keep for another year. It just makes more sense because he's already acclimated the offense. He played 11 games plus the playoffs. I think DeHop would be a good answer to do that. Xavier Worthy in year 2. Either bring back Juju on a 1-year deal. Then you have 3 guys right there. You can draft another player, and there's 4 right there. All of a sudden, you've almost completely built your wide receiver room, and that's not including Rashee Rice when he returns. So that's just the way I see it probably going down. But I don't think they're going to have to choose. Let's see. Our guy Joe Cunningham. I'd like to get Willie Gay back from the Saints. We need him against Lamar. Well, look, I think Willie Gay, and I love him. I loved him when he was here. I always viewed Willie as more of an energy guy than a guy that is a big playmaker. He was always a guy that was around the play but didn't always make the big plays. And again, I have to quantify it the same way I quantify L'Jarius Sneed. Have they missed Willie Gay? Like, I understand Lamar had that big game, but Lamar's been having big games every week. And even with that big game, the Chiefs still held them to 20 points, guys. So, or was it yeah, it was 20. Was it 20 points? 26 points? Something like that. Look, man, I think that when it's September, you can sit there and talk about that, but I think when it comes to the cold season, when it comes to when it matters the most, we know how Lamar does things, guys. We know it's not going to be the same way. He'll dominate the regular season, but I guarantee you, if the Chiefs play the Ravens in the postseason again, you will see the Chiefs do what they've continued to do against Lamar Jackson, and that's dominate him. They've shut him down more times than not. There's been one game, and it was over 3 seasons ago when Lamar actually went off, and it was only because of the fact that Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled the ball and gave them a short field, and then they scored over 30 points. So outside of that, I just don't see that happening again. I'm not really worried about it, but I understand your point of view, though, man. So let's see here. Yeah, so that's kind of where I see the Chiefs going with their money. Now, they may just stand pat. They may just roll that money over to next season, or just, for emergencies, they use that as like break glass in case of another injury of some sort where they have to go get a guy before the trade deadline. But I like to think that Brett Veach isn't done. I like to believe that he's still in the works with getting another piece to add to this equation, because like I said, it definitely wouldn't hurt at all if they added another guy or two to this offense, because they definitely could use that. While we're waiting, guys, not waiting, but while we're sitting here collecting some of these comments, because I really appreciate all these comments. You guys have been great today, man. I really appreciate all you guys. I want to talk a little bit about this Chiefs Raiders matchup, and I know that's something you guys probably been looking forward to, but with the DeHop news, it kind of overshadowed this. And let's be real, since Andy Reid's been here, and primarily Patrick Mahomes has been here. This really hasn't been much of a rivalry. I've said that over and over again. The Chiefs don't really have true rivals. I think the Bengals have kind of tried to come close to that. I think the Niners have tried when it comes to the playoff side of things, matching up multiple times in the postseason. But there's not a real true rivalry, and it especially has not been the Raiders. They're probably the least of the teams that have been true rivals to Patrick Mahomes. 10-2 against him, I believe, in his career. He averages well over 300 yards against him. He has a plus 100 quarterback rating against this team. It just hasn't been good for the Raiders in these matchups. And I look at this Raiders team right now, and I can't find a single area outside of maybe Max Crosby against the tackles where they have any advantage whatsoever. There's definitely not a coaching advantage or quarterback advantage. Brock Bowers is probably going to have a better year statistically than Travis Kelce. So if you want to give him tight end, then I'll give you that. But I'd still take Travis Kelce over Brock Bowers because I know what Travis Kelce is when the games are the biggest games matter most. We don't know what Brock Bowers is yet. I think he's going to be an absolute badass. He probably already is. But we haven't seen him have to play in big, meaningful games yet. We've seen Travis Kelce do that 100 times, and he arrives and delivers every single damn time. So I'm looking at this matchup, and I'm just trying to figure out, do I get overly excited, and just call a blowout? Because it's very possible. This could be a very ugly game where it's just out the gate, the Chiefs just dominate, and we have another easy-going Sunday because, quite frankly, for the majority of last week, it was you felt like the Chiefs were going to win the whole time. Against the Saints, you felt like the Chiefs were going to win the whole time. So the last couple games, it's been pretty easy going. I've really appreciated that from the Chiefs, quite frankly. And that could happen again this week. That could be the exact same thing that happens this week, where we're talking about a team that, it's 3 straight weeks now they've blown out their opponents, and they're, clearly on their way to another Super Bowl opportunity. Or this could be an unnecessarily close game where, the Raiders are fighting because we know they're a team that, although not talented, they do fight and claw. They scratch and claw. They go after everything that they could possibly get to try and go out there and get a W. Maybe that's the case. I'm kind of in between right now because I know how this team operates. But why I'm leaning more towards door number 1 and the Chiefs blowing the doors off of the Raiders in this one isn't just because of the Raiders. It's because everything we've already talked about for the last hour today. It's the fact that the Chiefs now have to... The Chiefs have a good problem on their hands. They're now adding a piece to their offense to make them better. And this guy is a day one contributor, a guy that is been dying to win in his career, who's been looking for years to get an opportunity to win in his career. And this is his one true real opportunity. And I feel like the Chiefs can really put it on the map this week. I know Andy likes to be careful and cautious and conservative when it comes to not putting too much on film, the first time you face a team. But the Chiefs are going to face the Raiders in the playoffs this year. The Raiders are not making the playoffs this year. So what I would like to see, in my personal opinion in this matchup, is the Chiefs to go out there, establish a dominant style of offense, score early touchdowns, and then coast the rest of this game and just get out healthy. Because we do know the only real problem this team has had this season is injuries. The Chiefs have been a very healthy team over the last several years. This year, not so much. And we know that some of these guys are going to be coming back. Like I said, Charles Omenihu will be back in November. Isaiah Pacheco should be back in November. Hollywood Brown might be back before the postseason or right at the postseason. They're going to get some guys back. But some of the guys are not coming back. Rashee Rice, Jalen Watson. These are guys that are not getting back. So I just want to see this team go in there, beat a team they should beat, and get out healthy. We've heard Antonio Pierce, and I don't fear this team. I don't fear Antonio Pierce, but I respect when I know. I respect. I'm aware of a dirty team when I see one. And we've seen, he was last week, a San Francisco player, throat chop Patrick Mahomes. No penalty. I thought Chiefs got all the calls. I thought he was the golden boy. Weird how that works. And then we hear Antonio Pierce on podcasts talking about how, Mahomes gets the Jordan rules when it comes to the old Pistons and how the Pistons just hacked the living shit out of Michael Jordan. That concerns me, guys. That concerns me. And I hope that the Chiefs offensive line is ready to protect Patrick even after the play. because I do think that Patrick's going to scramble around and do his thing like he likes to, and I do expect Raider players to hit him late. I do expect him to go at him low. I'm being serious, guys. I'm not saying that I expect Patrick to get hurt. I'm not expecting that. He's a warrior. But I do expect this Raiders team to play dirty. And honestly, we shouldn't expect anything less when their own head coach is talking about hacking him like the bad boy Pistons did in Michael Jordan's days. So that's the one thing in this matchup that actually concerns me. Outside of that, this shouldn't be a game. I mean, the Raiders going back from Aiden O'Connell to Gardner Minshew, and the only reason they went back to Gardner Minshew is because Aiden O'Connell broke his thumb. So this offense is terrible. They lost Devontae Adams. They're relying on Zamir White out of the backfield. It's Brock Bowers and a bunch of guys. And again, I told you guys at the top of the show, the Raiders have one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL, and the Chiefs have one of the best rush offenses. So I think the Chiefs could run the ball 30, 35 times in this game and win this game comfortably. But I do think they want to get DeAndre going. I do think DeHop is going to be a guy. I think he's going to get anywhere from 6 to 8 targets in this game. I think Patrick's going to pepper him with the football. Hopefully it's even more than that. Hopefully it's 10 plus targets in this game, because DeAndre Hopkins isn't. He's obviously. It's not like he's been out all year. He hasn't missed a game since 2022. Like, he's been available. He may have been banged up, but he's been available every single week, and he's been playing with a bad offense with a bad quarterback. I expect DeHop to be ready to go out there and contribute this week. I'm expecting him to do so. If I was to give you guys key players in this game, I always try to be original and think of somebody different every week. And I think the only way the Raiders manufacture points is if they get the run game going, because that'll give them a balanced attack. But as we know, the Chiefs have not allowed the run game at all. I think that they're going to throw the ball so much to Brock Bowers, and he'll probably go off in this game. So my key players are going to be Leo Chenal at first. I think Leo's the best overall linebacker on this team to this date. I think Nick Bolton's the best tackler. Drew Tranquill is kind of a jack of all trades, but he's having kind of a down year. I think Leo is really coming into his own, and I think he is the overall best linebacker on this team because he's good in pass protection. He's incredible at tackling as well. He's the guy that I think they're going to look to take it, Brock Bowers, at least in the flats and things of that nature. So I'm looking at Leo Chenal. I need him to have a game this week. I need him to show us that he's going to be all right. And he can take care of things. On the offensive side of things, this one might shock you guys, and it's not like some small name, but it's Travis Kelce. And the biggest reason why is although do strongly believe that DeHop's going to have the better numbers down this stretch, weirdly and oddly enough, I think this is one of those games where Travis Kelce actually plays really well statistically. I think that this is one of those matchups where, because everyone's looking at DeHop this week, and we've had in the comments about he could be a decoy. If that's going to happen, I think it could be this week, because everyone's so hyped, and again, I think he's going to get his targets, and I do expect him to produce, but I also think that Travis Kelce is going to produce. And I actually, I said on Twitter a couple of days ago, I said, not that it's needed or necessary, but it'd be really cool if Patrick has one of those classic Patty games where it's 300 plus yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns. Well, he's had a series of those against the Raiders in his career. This is one of the worst Raiders teams he's ever going to face or ever has faced. I think there's a real chance, guys, that Patrick actually gashes this defense through the air. This newly renowned and newly found confidence and excitement and fervor that he's going to have, knowing he's got DeHop on the outside, and how Travis is going to have more one-on-ones. I think this is a game where he goes and gets his guys some stats, and it helps Travis Kelce look good. I think Travis Kelce is going to have 7 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. He finally gets that touchdown this week. Hasn't happened all year. In fact, I think it's been 13 or 14 regular season games since Travis Kelce's had a touchdown. Been a long, long time. I think it's the longest stretch of his career. I think it changes this week. I think that obviously the run game, they'll have a balanced attack. I'm expecting the run game to be successful. But I think that Patty has a big game. I think that we're talking about 295 to 320 passing yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. I think this is a statement game because we also remember something. We remember that Patrick is a petty dude, petty Patty, man. And we saw the clown show during training camp of that dipshit that had that was it Kermit doll with Patty's hair, and they were talking all that shit. Some of us can just look at that and roll our eyes and just move on. Patrick holds on to that stuff. And he said at training camp when he was asked the question directly, it'll be handled when it's time to be handled. It's time to be handled. And I think that Patrick's going to go out there and make a statement. I said initially on Arrowhead Alley's on Tuesday that I think the Chiefs win this game 24-14. Well, that was a day previous to the Chiefs getting DHOP. Now that he's on the field, now that I really take in consideration how much of a statement game this could be for the Chiefs, not because they need to go out there and blow out the Raiders or have a great performance against this team to win. They don't. They can bring their C game in this one and win by 7. But I think there's something about this one that knowing that this is a game right before a Bucs game on Monday Night Football, where you're facing a very hobbled Bucs team, you're going to feel really confident about that one. They're probably not going to go out there and put on a display against that team. I think this is that game where they say, you know what? Let's put some points up on this board. I'm going to change my score. I'm going to say that the Chiefs win this game. I'm going to say 31-14. I'm gonna give the Raiders a late game touchdown to kind of just garbage time it. I'm gonna say 31-14. I'm gonna give the Chiefs an extra touchdown because I think that you're gonna see just kind of an FU, whether it's early in the game, later in the game. I know Andy likes to take his foot off the gas, but I think I think he's gonna let Patrick kind of do his thing in this one, and it may be even a late touchdown where they put one in the air late in the game and just kind of rub it in their face and let Antonio Brown and these guys know you fucked up. I don't know what your guys' scores are, and I'm not trying to get caught up in the hype. I'm really not. I'm actually going to try and keep this one very balanced because, like I said, on Arrowhead Allies initially, I think the Chiefs are going to play a very methodical game and just get out with a victory. But now that D-Hop's here, like I said, the energy's changed over the last 4 days. And I think you guys would agree with me on that one. The energy has very much changed. And I expect the Chiefs to put it on the Raiders on this one. Our guy John Harrison has the Chiefs 27-9. I like that score a lot, actually. Yeah, that's a really good score. Let me know what your guys' scores are, man, because I would really like to hear what you guys have to say. And it's the perfect time to do so, because it is time for Speak It. So I want to get to your guys' questions as best as I can. I know you guys had some earlier in the show. Send me your questions now. Our guy Tyler Helton, he says, Hunter Renfrow. I'm assuming you're asking, should the Chiefs bring in Hunter Renfrow? Guys, when guys haven't been playing football for some time, and I don't believe Hunter's been on a team all year, that kind of tells you where they're at. Hunter's an undersized guy, not athletic, or not as athletic as some. And I just don't know how good at football he still is. I know he had a decent run a few years ago with the Raiders, but I think there's just more about a familiar face than actually knowing if he's a good football player. I think he's just a recognizable face. Slot receiver, but he has a real bad drop problem from what I remember. I just think there's better options out there, quite frankly. I know he'd be a free agent, so you might have to give up any trade assets, but I mean, let's be real, man. They give up a conditional 4th for DeHop. I mean, there's guys out there far worse than DeHop that you could bring in that'll be a better player than Hunter Renfrow. So I'm gonna probably pass on Hunter Renfrow. Let's look here, guys. Get more questions here. And again, if you guys have questions, go to YouTube. I would really love it if you guys went to YouTube and got us give me these questions, because that's where I'm at right now. It's really hard to monetize or pay attention to everything that's going on at once because the chat is unbelievable. We got just right here 83 unread comments from other areas. Let me know what you guys have. All right, I want to answer Rhino's question. I promised I would answer earlier. His question was, if the Chiefs are 9-0 going to Buffalo and beat them, do they lose another game? So this is a good question, because this is where it does start to get kind of interesting. It kind of reminds me of when a team or when a pitcher is having a no hitter and it's like, third or fourth inning. You're not really like, okay, yeah, it's early in the game, but then it gets like that sixth inning, and the rest of the team's kind of like, oh shit, he might do this, and like no one talks to him. That's like a whole thing. I remember growing up playing baseball, and whenever a pitcher or somebody was on fire, you don't talk to him. That was always an unwritten rule. You let them just kind of be in their own way, just mind their own business. The Chiefs are, I would say, if they win that Buffalo game, that's their sixth inning of the no hitter. Because if you look at the rest of the schedule, at Carolina, Raiders at Arrowhead, Chargers at Arrowhead, at Cleveland, Texans at Arrowhead on December 21st, which will be cold as shit, at Pittsburgh on Christmas, and then at Denver. I mean, if you're looking at that list right now, guys, there's only, 3 teams. After that, there's 7 games, and only 3 of those teams have winning records right now. And I'm not expecting the Broncos to have a winning record by then. The Steelers probably still would, but I think they're going to be closer to a 500 team at that point. The Raiders, the Panthers, the Browns, all those are some of the worst teams in football this season. If they beat the Buffalo Bills that week, I think there's a great chance they go undefeated. Now, I'm not one of those people that really cares about that much. I'm not somebody that focuses on undefeated seasons. Because as we know, the last team to go undefeated in the regular season didn't win the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm fixated on. And quite frankly, I don't think that's what the Chiefs are fixated on. But if they start the season 10-0, that is when they start to say, you know what? We might go for it. Because my prediction before the season, in case you guys didn't see it or hear it, I had the Chiefs starting the season 9-0, and so far that's looking great. And I had them losing a close game to the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo, because we know that's going to be the Bills' Super Bowl. And they've beaten the Chiefs. To their credit, they've beaten the Chiefs a number of times in the regular season. And then I didn't have the Chiefs losing another game until the final week of the season, where they rest all their starters. The Broncos, holy shit, let's end the season off on a win. Let's have Blow Nicks, try to, throw a football accurately and see if we get, a touchdown without having to scramble around. And then they lose that game and they're 15-2 with the 1 seed. That's my prediction. I think that's still how it's going to go. But if they do beat Buffalo, man, and the Chiefs are, going down this pike. Let's say it's, they're going against the Texans and, they're 14-0 going in that game. You have to keep playing your starters. I'm one of those people that if you are, even though I don't care about undefeated seasons as much, I care about winning Super Bowls. If you're 16-0 down the stretch, you gotta go for perfection. Because not only would think about that, what that would do to this legacy for the Chiefs. Let's say they win the Super Bowl on an undefeated season, which would make them the first team since this was the 72 Dolphins, but the 72 Dolphins had 3 fewer regular season games. The Chiefs could literally tie up a three-peat that's never been done before, while being the second team, really the first team ever to go 17-0 in the regular season and win the Super Bowl. That is they would be, I think it's pretty obvious, that would make them the single greatest team ever to go 20-0. I don't know how anybody would disagree with me on that. That would be obvious. They would be 20-0, and they just finished a three-peat. That's the greatest dynasty ever, and topped by the best team ever. So yeah, I will play that. They got to go and win that game first. I'm still going to give the Bills that game right now. I know you guys are probably hating me for that, but the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are eventually going to lose a game this season. I think it's going to happen. I think they lose at least one. And it's always in frustrating fashion. I get pissed off, you guys get pissed off, and then we just kind of get over it as the week goes on. We get ready for the next game. That's how we do things here. I think that's going to happen. I think the Chiefs are eventually going to lose a game, and I think it's going to be Buffalo. That's a a formidable opponent. I'm not as big on Buffalo as other people. I think they're very overrated because, like I said, they've won 5 games this year. Why don't you go and look at their fucking schedule, guys? Let's see. Who's Buffalo beaten this year? Oh shit, Arizona at home. Oof. Miami when Tua got concussed. Jacksonville, man, I don't know how they won that game. Then they beat the Jets, who literally handed that game to them by missing 2 field goals, lost by 3. And then the Tennessee Titans, wow. They were able to beat the Tennessee Titans, who were up 10-0 at halftime. Wow. Tennessee, the team that just traded away future Hall of Famer DeAndre Hopkins. But it says here they faced the Ravens and Texans. Those are 2 really good teams. But weirdly enough and oddly enough, it says L's next to those. And they lost those games by a combined 57-30. Weird stuff. Weird. Let's see here. Bubba BB, I would rather have Kupp than DeHop. DeHop is still good, but I don't think he's a wide receiver one anymore. Yeah, well, I don't think Cooper Kupp is either, bub. I hate to break it to you. Cooper Kupp is more of an injury-prone player at this point of his career than even DeHop is. If you look at the last 3 seasons of Cooper Kupp's career, he's missed 17 games. DeHop has missed 0. So, and DeHop's a better receiver historically than Cooper Kupp. I know that Cooper in 2021 had the triple crown. You know, he led all receivers in reception yards and touchdowns. Amazing season. I have no ill will towards Cooper Kupp. I think he's an awesome receiver. DeAndre Hopkins is like an all-decade type player. Cooper Kupp's not. So let's just keep it there. Let's see here. Got any questions for you guys? You guys got to give me some questions here, man. I'm down to answer them. We're interactive today. Oh, here we go. James T. Kirk. Cleveland is potentially leaving downtown for the burbs. Sounds like the Chiefs leaving for Kansas. Any thoughts? Well, yeah. I mean, you guys want to talk about this again? We definitely can. You guys know where I've stood on this all along, and I'm standing on the side that's the most obvious. When the bill passed, or when the bill came up for vote, and it was significantly turned down in the Jackson County area to renovate Arrowhead Stadium, when we heard also Mark Donovan, president of the Chiefs, talk about how this area it doesn't make sense for them to stay there in the Raytown, Independence, Jackson County area. I think the writing was on the wall at that point, guys. The Chiefs are like, okay, we gave you guys the opportunity to keep us here. You guys voted us down. You don't want to renovate. You don't want to spend the $800 million or the $500 million, and the Chiefs would fork out $300 to make it $800. You don't like the proposal, which I get because I didn't like it either. I thought it was ass, to be honest. I wouldn't have paid for it either in Jackson County unless I knew that it was going to be the difference between keeping the team and not. I probably would have agreed to it because the sales tax didn't change. We know how all this goes. We've been through this 100 times, guys. It was a 40-year sales tax, did not change 1 iota, 1 cent. They voted it down. That means the Chiefs are going to be moving. And unlike other teams that have moved from, other areas, like, you have the Oakland Raiders moving to Vegas, which is hours and hours away. It changes your whole culture. You don't have your home base anymore. You're away from everybody. That's not going to be the case here in Kansas City because it's still going to be in the same metropolitan. You are literally moving them from one part of I-70 to about 15 miles to the other side of I-70. It's going to be on the same highway. Literally going to be on the same highway. Because it's going to be right off the same damn highway. You can go right now to Truman Sports Complex, drive all the way to the border of Kansas City, drive about another 3 or 4 miles, and you will see the area that I do believe the Chiefs are going to break ground. And it's going to be right by the Legends. It's going to be a 15-minute drive. It's basically just going to be Jackson County, because I'm a Kansas resident, born and raised here in Kansas. It's going to be basically just a flip-flop of what we've done all our lives, where Kansas people have been driving the 15, 20-minute drive to Arrowhead over there in Jackson County. Jackson County members now are just going to have to do that and come over here, and this stadium's going to be absurd. I'm just letting you guys know right now, the mock-ups, the draft-ups that they've shown already, I'm ready to see this thing happen. I know we love the mystique of Arrowhead. Trust me, I grew up going there. I love going to Arrowhead. It's the most dynamic experience in sports. But it's time to upgrade. It's time to get with the program and get a house that Pat can build. James T. Kirk again. Besides the Chiefs, what NFL team or teams would you want to win the Super Bowl this season? James, I'm going to say this as bluntly as I can. I don't give a shit who wins the Super Bowl if the Chiefs don't. Other guys I root for, other guys I like in the league, but this is all about the Chiefs, man. Maybe that's wrong of me to feel that way or say it that way, but if the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl, man, I'm not really invested. I will say in 2021, I was rooting heavily for the Rams because I just did not want to see I didn't want to experience the unbearability of Joe Burrow hosting a Lombardi on a year they beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. That would never be something I'd want to go through. So I was very happy that happened. But deep down, as a very avid Matthew Stafford fan, as a big-time Cooper Kupp fan and Aaron Donald fan, I was very happy the Rams won that Super Bowl. But yeah, man, my vested interest goes out the window once the Chiefs aren't playing in the game. James D. Kirk, come on, Detroit wouldn't tug at your heart. I would be full disclosure, I would be very happy for Detroit fans. I'd be very happy. That's a great story. I'd be happy for Dan Campbell, who I guarantee is 100% crying if they were to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great for the city of Detroit. But let's be real, man. Like, their fan base has been kind of up and down. I'm not trying to call them out, but I've seen their tailgates, and I'm like, what the hell? It looks like someone's hanging outside of Marshall's. Like, there's nobody out there. It was very, very hilarious. But I would be happy for the city of Detroit because they haven't exactly been doing a lot of winning over the last 70 years. So it would be cool to see for them. But in all seriousness and with all due respect, fuck that. I'm trying to see a motherfucking three-peat here. So that's where I stand on it, bub. And I think that's where a lot of you guys stand on it, quite frankly. Let's be real. Any other questions for me, guys? You guys gotta hit me up, man, because I'm here. I'm ready to go. But if you guys don't have any more questions, that's totally fine. We can move on to the final act, if you will. Our guy Shaggy Shane did have a statement to make. Wide receiver monster Washington was just activated to the roster over Ross and Remigio. I don't understand that other than the fact that maybe they're going to use Montreal on the special teams, but then again, that's kind of where McColl's at. So I don't really get that move. I'd have to look into that a little bit deeper. I don't know. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Montreal's not, I don't think he's better than Ross or Remigio. Special teams would be the only place I can think that Montreal would be at. So, I don't know. Maybe they have other plans for McColl at this point, which I don't think is really that possible. He's a special teamer / gimmick guy. So, Julia Gulia, what's good, girl? It's been a while, man. What the hell? Miss you. Just got here, always listening, and sure hit the like. Did you go over the injury report? Also, Omenihu timeline. We have actually not gone over the injury report. Thank you for doing that, Julie, because that was something I actually forgot to do or just kind of misplaced it. So let's pull that up right now so that way we know what it's looking like. I do think overall it's pretty clean for the Chiefs, but you never know. It's a Saturday, so this is the last day for them to get reports before they start making the inactives. So right now it's looking like the Wednesday and Thursday and Friday practices, Mike Dana and Juju, as expected, did not practice, so both guys' statuses are out. But everybody else on the injury report, Kareem Hunt, Leo Chenal, McCole Hardman, Jaden Hicks, Derek Nottie, Justin Reed, and Jared Wiley were all full participants all week. So they're all going to play. There's no reason to be concerned about anything. They're just a little banged up as expected. It's the NFL. That's what happens. A little bit different, though, on the Raiders side because they don't think they've ruled out anybody yet, but they have about 4 or 5 questionable guys right now. Harrison Bryant, Tommy Eichenberg, Kenai Mwaga, and Jacoby Myers along with no, that's it. Jacoby Myers and those guys are the ones that Max Crosby was a full participant on Friday, so I'm expecting him to play, obviously. Adam Butler is going to be a full participant. Colton Miller. Well, they do have one guy out. I'm sorry, Dylan Parham. He's actually out. He's the right guard, I think he is, Dylan Parham. He will be out, so that might be a problem for them. But Jacorian Bennett and Gardner Minshew, full participants. So weirdly enough, the Chiefs may not even be the most banged up team in this game, even though they're losing 2 starters in Mike Dana and Juju Smith-Schuster. The Raiders are coming to this game a little banged up on their own, so I don't think it's going to really matter either way, one way or the other, who's more banged up in this game, because we've seen obviously the Chiefs have massive losses in the depth chart department and don't have any losses in the L column. But do we go the Omenihu side of things? So this the Omenihu thing's been very interesting because they're not giving us like an actual like time. They're not saying like, okay, it's this day, this week he'll be back. What we keep hearing is sometime in November. It's because ACLs can be very tricky, very unpredictable. Especially, I think this is his second one, if I'm not mistaken. But I do know he's been training his ass off. I've seen all the videos on his Instagram. He looks like he's in incredible shape, super motivated. Dude tweets a lot. Very animated, very passionate dude, I might add, on Twitter. He literally attacked me one time on there. It's funny as hell. I don't care. You guys know how I am. People can say whatever they want about me on Twitter. I don't care. But Omenihu, I made a statement before the season. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I literally said, because there was legitimate discussion on 810 Sports Radio, Soren Petro show, where he was talking about maybe the Chiefs will, cut Charles Omenihu and save the $7 million. And so I went out and I tweeted, I was like, keeping Omenihu is far more valuable than having the $7 million. And I just kind of went out there, and Charles Omenihu quote tweeted me and said, I think Lance is bored. And like all these people came in droves and was kissing Charles' ass. Get him, bro, cook. Own that fatty. Like, it was hilarious. Like, how many people and like there was like 3 people that actually got it. They were like, Charles, he's complimenting you. He's got your back. He's saying you should be on the team, not get cut. He's literally defending you. So I thought it was funny. The exchange was hilarious. Charles never said anything after that. It's whatevs, man. I'm all for Charles being back because I think the dude's an awesome player. He's an absolute stud. When he played for the Chiefs last season, I think it was only, like 7-8 games. He was awesome for the team. I loved him when he played for the team. So looking forward to him getting back and helping this team out. So I'm guessing right now, Julia, I'm gonna say that Omenihu's back probably the week before Thanksgiving. That's what I'm gonna say. And then that's a great thing because you give him, 6-7 weeks to really get acclimated back into football before the playoffs start. John Harris, Dana, and Juju are the only ones out. Yeah, that's where we're at with that, and that's totally cool. I think the Chiefs will be fine without those 2 guys. Get them healthy, get them right. That calf injury's been really bothering Dana, man. If it's still that, he's been dealing with that for I think like 3 or 4 weeks now. MQ10, would you be concerned if the Chiefs don't blow out the Raiders? The Raiders suck. It's Max Crosby, and that's it. I won't be concerned because we've seen how this team can play, man. We know that this team loves to give out nail biters, man. It's stressful, unnecessarily stressful games. So I wouldn't be shocked at this point or concerned. The only thing that would concern me in this game is that the Chiefs lost. Because that would be you would think about this. The last team to beat the Chiefs was who? The Raiders. And it was on Christmas last year. That's how long it's been since the Chiefs have lost a game. They're on a 12-game winning streak. If they were to beat them back-to-back years with the shit roster they have, and the Chiefs having what they're having on their plate right now of trying to go for perfection, go for a three-peat, not good. That would be something I'd have to sit here and go, okay, is everything all right with this team? Like, you can't lose games like this. Because there's one thing that the Chiefs in the Mahomes era don't do. They don't lose to bad teams. I think they've had 2 or 3 losses in the entire Mahomes era where they've lost to a team that ended up with a losing record. I'm not kidding. Like, they don't lose to bad teams. They'll lose to, like, decent teams they shouldn't lose to, let's be real. Lost to teams that have 500 records or barely above 500 records. They've lost some stupid games before, but they don't lose to bad teams very often. Hardly ever, in fact. So that would be the one true concern on my part if the Chiefs were to take an L this week. James T. Kirk again. Charles Omenihu wants the bag after the season. Is he worth it? Well, what kind of bag are we talking about here, man? Because if we're talking about a 3-year deal worth $90-some million. Well, no, he's not getting that. I would say that at this point, Charles Omenihu is an injury-prone player. That's just the facts of it. So, could he get a multi-year deal? Sure, but I think the guarantees would be very low. His best bet, in my opinion, you stay right where you're at. You sign a 1-year deal. I think he's 27 right now, 27 or 28 years old, right in the prime of his career. You stay here for 1 year, get $7 to $10 million for 1 year. It's a prove-it deal. and then you get out here and you get healthy in 2025 and you crush ass and help this team as best as you can. And then at 28 years old, 29 years old, you get yourself another long-term deal because then teams will start to have a little more trust in you. Because right now the optics aren't very good for Charles Omenihu when it comes to getting the bag. James T. Kirk again. Raiders always give the best effort versus the Chiefs. It shouldn't surprise anybody if the game is closer than you want. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it won't shock me if that happens. If this ends up being like a 3 to 6 point game, I wouldn't be shocked. Would I be upset? Yes, because I think that the Chiefs are just, even with their offensive woes, they're just significantly better than the Raiders in every regard. So this needs to be a game where the Chiefs go out there and establish dominance and beat this team. I think they need to go and beat this team. So here we go. Our guy Ruben Cruz made his prediction. He says 30-6. So he has a blowout for sure on that one. I'm assuming the Chiefs don't allow a touchdown, or it could be a touchdown. They missed the PAT. Point is, he has the Chiefs winning by 4 scores. I like that. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I like that a lot. I think they're going to win by multiple touchdowns, though, guys. I do think. I said it was in 31-14. So technically, that's 3 scores. I can see that though. I would love a blowout, guys. I would absolutely love a blowout. That would be. It makes Sundays a lot easier. Let's put it like that. I think you guys would definitely agree with me on that. But that's all the questions I'm seeing right now. If you guys have any more, drop them in the comments after the show. We'll try to get back to you guys as soon as we possibly can. You know, we're busy over here, but never too busy for our people. You guys are why we do this. We love it every single week. But in the meantime, we have one more final act and one more final thing to get to, guys. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly, not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, whoever is holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. So, I actually want to start off with a W here. I don't know if you guys are baseball fans or not. I'm a massive baseball fan. I always tell people my favorite sport to watch and consume is football. My favorite sport to play was always baseball. I loved baseball. I was actually pretty decent at it. And to see what the MLB is offering us right now, the postseason has been nothing short of incredible. It's been so damn good. The postseason was awesome this year. It's still awesome this year. It's only getting better because now we're in the World Series. And, of course, you have the 2 biggest markets in the World Series for the first time. I think this is the first time they've faced in like 60 years the World Series. It is Dodgers-Yankees, and what do you know? I'm not going to show you guys the play, but this is what happened. That is one Freddie Freeman for the Dodgers. First pitch, bottom 9, bases juiced. They're trailing. I think it was like 3-2, and he beat the shit out of that baseball. And I just love this picture. I saw this picture first thing this morning. I was like, I've got to get this on the show. Freddie Freeman, such a humble dude, but he went out there and crushed ass along with the baseball. Not to take away anything from Aaron Judge, from Giancarlo Stanton. Aaron Judge, like he's actually good in the postseason. Giancarlo Stanton hit. I think that ball would have literally went over like the Eiffel Tower. Like this ball that Giancarlo, you guys got to look this up. Giancarlo Stanton hit an absolute moonraker. It went like 412 feet, which is a big shot. But, I mean, he absolutely golfed that bitch. It looked like some Tiger Woods shit. That shit was on a tee. He's turned on it. I've always said Giancarlo, he bats like a lefty. So much pull, so much torque in those hips. Reminds me so much of a left-handed hitter. He doesn't usually go oppo. He usually tries to crush the living shit out of the baseball, and he hits like a softball player. So, but yeah, the W to Freddie Freeman, W to the Dodgers for taking that 1-0 commanding lead. Because I say commanding because most teams that you win game 1, I think it's like 75% of teams that win game 1s in the World Series win the World Series. So the Dodgers have put themselves in prime position, and I think that's what they're going to continue to do because I do expect Shohei to show up and do his thing. Where my L is going to go is to a guy that I have an immense amount of respect for, but I have to call him out because I call out everybody when their time is due or when they deserve it. So I watch every morning Get Up. Mike Greenburn hosts it. And we saw, we were talking a little bit about the Ravens and how they just absolutely just shit-kicked the Buccaneers. We saw all this praise being heaped on Lamar and Derrick Johnson because, again, man, they put up 41 points. They've been scoring at will. looking like an unbeatable offense to this point. But what's funny about it is that no one talks about the Ravens' real issues. It's the fact they have probably the worst pass defense in the NFL, if not one of the worst, and they're giving up a lot of points there. I think they're giving up 27 points a game right now. That's horrible. This is nowhere near the Ravens' defenses we're accustomed to having. Well, Mike Greenberg didn't stop and actually contextualize anything. What he wanted to do is be a little hyperbolic, and this is where he started off before Get Up even started.
No. The best player in the league is Derrick Henry. I said this a couple of weeks ago. You can get Derrick Henry right now for MVP at 50-1 at ESPN Bet. Derrick Henry is on pace to break the all-time single-season rushing record to become the only player ever to run for 2,000 yards in 2 different seasons, and he is the reason the Ravens are finally going to scale Mount Mahomes this year and win the Super Bowl.
Now listen, bad prediction or not aside, Greeny is well within his right to have that take. He's well within his right to make that prediction and say that Derrick Henry is going to be the reason why the Chiefs go down this year. Even though, again, if only we had a game to go off of, where the Chiefs matched up against Derrick Henry already, then we can, fairly assess how it would probably go down in a game that actually means a lot more than a week 1 game. But I digress. The impressive part about this and where the L comes into play, though, isn't that take. It isn't that prediction. It's the fact that exactly 1 hour and about 30 minutes later, the same guy about this same situation has this take on his show.
Yeah. And the Chiefs looked like they did in 2019? Of course not. But they have an elite defense, and more importantly, they have an elite quarterback who, even when he's not at his best, is as good as anyone we've ever seen. So analytics, they say Kansas City is still the favorite to win the Lombardi this year. If you want to pick them, go ahead. You got to pick against them, good luck to you, because I'm most definitely not going to do it.
I'm gonna play these again, so you guys. Same guy, by the way. I didn't like AI this shit. I'm just gonna play it again.
No. The best player in the league is Derrick Henry. I said this a couple of weeks ago. You can get Derrick Henry right now for MVP at 50-1 at ESPN Bet. Derrick Henry is on pace to break the all-time single-season rushing record to become the only player ever to run for 2,000 yards in 2 different seasons, and he is the reason the Ravens are finally going to scale Mount Mahomes this year and win the Super Bowl. Yeah, and the Chiefs looked like they did in 2019, of course not. But they have an elite defense, and more importantly, they have an elite quarterback who, even when he's not at his best, is as good as anyone we've ever seen. So analytics, they say Kansas City is still the favorite to win the Lombardi this year. If you want to pick them, go ahead. You got to pick against them, good luck to you, because I'm most definitely not.
Sorry, guys. I'm like looking around the studio trying to find any sense that I could give to Greeny, because none of that made any sense. How do you go from at like 6:58 in the morning say something so confident about Derrick Henry being the one that's going to dethrone the Chiefs, and then on your own show say, hey, you can bet against the Raiders or the Chiefs. It's not going to be me. Look, I think sometimes the national media, I think they get shit on unnecessarily. I think that sometimes these people, they get unfair treatment by us. I think that sometimes we say things that are just a little bit unfair because we know these people have a job to do. But lying to us and treating us like we're idiots by contradicting yourself on national television just to fit whatever narrative that is hot in that moment is not one of those things I'll defend them on. And Greeny is one of the best in the business. But what the fuck was that? Again, if you're going to sit here and tell me that's, because I'm all about that. I'm all about you standing on business, as the kids say. if you are somebody that says, I hate when people say the Chiefs aren't winning the Super Bowl because and they just leave it at that. I want you to tell me the team that's beating the Chiefs, and I want you to tell me the team that's winning the Super Bowl. I don't want you to say the Chiefs aren't winning the Super Bowl because I'm standing on my ground saying the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl. I'm telling you specifics of what's going to happen, who's winning it. So when you tell me that's not going to happen, you need to tell me the specifics. You need to be the one that you're the person that has the burden of proof. Give me something that is substantial. When you're sitting here saying the Ravens are going to be the team, I can respect that take. That's why I had no problem with the first one. But then you turn it around and say, well, if you guys can bet, you guys are going to bet against the Chiefs not winning the Super Bowl, go ahead, but I'm not doing it. Brother, you just did it. You just literally did it. So maybe you should like have a conversation with yourself and figure out which one of you guys is the real you. Because you got some like, multiplicity shit going on. Remember that movie, Michael Keaton? Really good. Highly recommend it. Because there's like, maybe there's like different greenies. He has like a similar looking cousin or a twin. But that can't be the same guy, because it's like that chick in the airplane. That motherfucker's not real. Like, I kind of feel like that chick right now. She's starting to make sense. I didn't know that was possible. But regardless, whichever one of those greenies that are real or not real, they got to do me a solid and hold this L. Appreciate it. My brain hurts. This show has been so much fun, man. I love when Trev's on here because it's just so much easier just to have bouncing back and forth conversations. He kind of takes the lead for a little bit. You guys do your thing, and it's always fun. This was a blast, though. I hope you guys had a fun. This is absolute fun. Show flew by. We did almost 2 hours of content, and we had a blast. This was so much fun. So I cannot thank you guys enough for being with me today. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people have been on the stream today. I cannot thank you guys enough. Hundreds of comments have come in. I mean, we're just sitting here talking, having fun. This is so much fun. This is why I got so excited this week. I could not wait to talk to you guys. I was, like for a second, I was like, man, do we do a show this week? Trevor's out on vacation. Maybe I just take a week off. And I was like, no, motherfucker, get online, get on there and talk to the people. You guys want to have a show. And it's been evident today by what you guys have brought to the show. Thank you guys, man. Seriously, it is so freaking humbling what you guys did today, man. On your Saturday, you guys are free to do whatever the hell you want, and hundreds of you are hanging out with me today, dude. I cannot thank you guys enough. Thank you so much for everybody in the chat, everybody that just watch. I know some of you guys, you don't want to get involved in the chat. You just want to just kind of hang out and window shop or just kind of watch the show. I get people all the time, man. I'll be at a store or I'll be somewhere, and hey, man, I watch your show. Thank you for what you do. It's the coolest thing in the world. So we joke, we have fun, we get serious, we have heated debates, but at the end of the day, man, it's all about us having a common bond. Most of us would never know each other unless we had a love for a sport or a team or whatever the case is. This is what brings us together. So thank you guys for making this show what it is, because it would be jack shit without y'all. It'd just be some idiot with a beard talking on a microphone, talking to literally nobody. But you guys make me feel important, and I can't put a price tag on it, man. You guys have been so awesome. And since you guys are so awesome, maybe we can be a little bit more awesome and go to YouTube, hit subscribe. I would love it so much if you guys did that. It means so much if you guys want another hit notify, subscribe, like, all that cool stuff. And then get in the chat with us, man. Talk with us. There's some great shows out there, guys. I know that a lot of you guys already follow, like All Chiefed Up, Chief Concerns, and please keep hanging with those dudes. Those are some of my best buds. I love the Williams brothers. I love Marcus, JD. Those guys are awesome. How about the Chiefs? Obviously, there's tons of shows out there that far surpass what we do, but we want to continue to be interactive with you guys. I want you guys to feel like you're family here, because you really are. It's like Olive Garden up in this bitch. When you're here, you're family. We just don't have breadsticks. So I'm sorry, I just can't swing it. It's not in the budget. But what we do have in the budget is time, and we have passion, and we have energy, and we're going to continue to bring that to you guys, and that's unlimited. That's bottomless. May not have the salads and breadsticks, but we have what you guys are looking for on this show. So with that, without further ado...
Yeah, and the Chiefs looked like they did in 2019? Of course not. But they have an elite defense, and more importantly, they have an...
Yeah, I don't even know why I pushed that button. I'm so pissed off. I almost wanted to show you guys again. I guess Greeny's going to hold another L. But I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of this show. Can't thank you guys enough for being a part of it. For Trevor Tootle's absence, for leaving me on my lonesome. I'm just kidding. Him and the kids are having a great time and what they're doing, man. I hope they have a blast. Love you guys. Miss you guys. And for Clay Windler that puts all this together in the back end, Red Tribe Cinema, I hope you guys are already following what Clay does. He does incredible work in every platform he's on. His Twitter presence is awesome. His Facebook presence is incredible. And what he does on YouTube is just immaculate. So him helping me out here on this show, it goes without saying, he saves us as well, man. So for all of them, for Starcade Media, for having us on their platforms, for Noah and Clint, thank you guys so much. And for you guys, the audience, the people, the spoken, we thank you guys so much. And for episode 289, until we're back here in 1 week's time, talking about 290, episode 290, and the Chiefs staying undefeated, and DeHop having his presence in the building, we out of this bitch.